This morning, the devastation in Florida. Hurricane Milton tearing up the state overnight.
Plus, how Wisconsinites are helping those impacted by the two hurricanes and how you can help too.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now this morning here on a Thursday. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrie Unley alongside meteorologist Savannah Brito. It's just crazy just seeing the impact. I know we've been watching this for several days now, Hurricane Milton, and just seeing it now, just the damage that it's done. It's just crazy to see, and I know that as the daylight comes on this morning, it'll be even more wild to see that.
Never ready for it.
What are we looking at here behind us?
Yeah, it's still a Category 1 storm. The wind speeds are pushing 85 miles per hour, but the gusts are still more than 100 miles per hour. It's almost off the coast of Florida again, but those waters are cooler, so it's not expected to regain strength. So that's good news.
Big impacts from this storm, especially after the overnight devastation. Millions in Florida are without power. There are already reports of deaths and injuries after a series of tornadoes spun up across the state.
And those who did not evacuate are now being told to hunker down.
All right. For now, let's go to CBS's Christian Bienvenides with more.
Hurricane Milton came roaring ashore on Florida's west coast overnight, bringing with it life-threatening winds, heavy rains, and dangerous storm surge.
I hear a lot of wind outside.
Bradenton resident Angie Samaro and her family are riding out the storm at home, located outside of the evacuation zone.
We knew that we wanted to stay.
Closer to the Gulf Coast in Newport Richey, residents and their pets took shelter in this middle school gym.
We take this stuff serious, and we live in a flood zone.
In the days leading up to the storm, millions were urged to evacuate. Last night, Florida's governor said it's too late for those who did not heed those earlier warnings.
It's too dangerous to evacuate safely. So you have to shelter in place and just hunker down.
Already, there are reports of deaths, injuries, and extensive property damage after tornadoes swept through parts of the state ahead of Milton's arrival. In Tampa, the storm struck here as residents were still cleaning up from Helene and dumped 3 to 5 inches of rain an hour.
We've got your back.
Yesterday, President Joe Biden said the federal government has millions of meals, water, and thousands of personnel on the ground for response. Tropicana Field had been set up as a base for National Guard and emergency workers earlier this week. Last night, strong winds ripped the stadium's roof to shreds. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Tampa, Florida.
Well, the roof at Tropicana Field, that image is just hard to believe. It really puts in perspective just how strong those winds were whenever it made landfall last night. Also, the National Weather Service is warning everybody in Florida to prepare for long duration power outages.
Yes, they're really in the dark. We just saw a live shot earlier and just completely dark.
And there are people, cars going over flooded areas. That's one of the things that meteorologists and all of us urge people not to do, because you never know how deep that water is and it can completely wash out roads. We actually saw that a lot of flooded areas a couple Sundays ago when we had that heavy rain. So we just urge people to never cross flooded waters.
Always follow that turnaround, don't drown.
Exactly. Those are up for your safety.
Exactly. Well, let's take a live look now at Fort Myers on Florida's west coast. It's about an hour from the Siesta Key and Sarasota area where the storm made landfall. Again, looks like things are pretty, cool, calm, collected right now, but that wasn't the case just a few hours ago.
Yeah, we were seeing, this is actually the image where we were seeing cars going across those flooded areas. So it might not be windy anymore, but there's still a lot of that standing waters from all that storm surge. That's what's most life-threatening actually about hurricanes. Still a Category 1 like we mentioned, but now off the coast or almost off the coast of Florida, still battering eastern Florida, southern Florida, with a lot of heavy rain that you're still seeing, those oranges, the yellows on radar. The winds are still up to 85 miles per hour, but the gusts, those are what's up above that 100 mile per hour category. Temperatures locally, we do have clear skies and temps in the mid-40s. Not as cool as what we saw the last couple of nights, but these are really going to fall. The next few nights will be warm, but what's to follow into early next week, it's going to get pretty chilly out there if you haven't brought out those winter winter boots, the Uggs, the coats, you might want to do that because we're talking about really cool temperatures, widespread frost likely into early next week. Enjoy the warm temperatures while we still do have them. We'll be in the 70s today and 80s tomorrow. It's kind of hard to believe what's to follow that, guys, because temperatures are going to take a sharp drop.
All right, get ready for it. Thank you, Savannah. Developing now, fire crews have put out a fire in Cottage Grove. It was on Koshkonong Road, just south of exit 147 off the interstate. About a dozen departments at the scene early this morning of a hay bale fire. The fire chief says no one is hurt. Koshkonong Road was closed for a certain period of time. We're not sure if Koshkonong is back open this morning. Again, this is near exit 147 off the interstate.
The American Red Cross in Wisconsin has several volunteers down south to help those impacted by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. They sent several volunteers after Helene devastated communities throughout the south. And more than 60 others are heading down to the south to help those impacted by Hurricane Milton. They're also sending down 3 emergency response vehicles to ease some of the concern.
We've got a lot of our supplies and volunteers down there helping right now. We've got anticipating more to go down and help in the upcoming days. We do have volunteers right now that are in the areas, to help with sheltering for those that have been evacuated for Hurricane Milton.
It's going to be nonstop for next several months, honestly. As we're sending folks down to the Southwest to help, there's plenty of things that still need to be done back home.
American Red Cross leaders say there are 3 ways you can help. That's by volunteering, donating blood, or making a financial donation. And there is a link to donate on our website, channel3000.com.
Next time you're at a Hy-Vee grocery store, you could help out as well. Starting today, you can round up purchases at checkout at any Hy-Vee or Dollar Fresh Market. Those donations are going to go to the American Red Cross to help those affected by the hurricanes. It will last until October 25th.
While rallying in Pennsylvania, former President Donald Trump criticized the Biden administration's response to Hurricane Helene. He alleged that Vice President Kamala Harris spent the FEMA money on undocumented immigrants. Trump also says FEMA is only giving victims $750 and that it would need to be paid back. During an address to the nation about Hurricane Milton, Joe Biden fought calling these claims misleading. But some Trump supporters say they still question the administration.
Giving illegals thousands and thousands of dollars is not right. What happened to America first?
CBS News confirms that FEMA has said money is not being diverted from disaster response. CBS News also confirms claims that the agency is only giving $750 misleading. The money is designed for immediate relief, but it's also part of a larger aid program and does not need to be paid back. Vice President Kamala Harris called the disinformation dangerous.
It is true that FEMA is facing a resource shortage. The agency says it has enough employees to take on the response, though. Part of FEMA's website now addresses the false information about its response to Helene. FEMA's administrator says the disinformation being spread about the agency's hurricane response is absolutely the worst they have ever seen.
And during a visit to Dane County, Minnesota's First Lady Gwen Walz mirrored several of her husband's talking points. She spoke about opportunity economy for the middle class, reproductive rights, and calling for voters to take action ahead of the election. But whether it's the First Lady of Minnesota or the United States, she serves a public yet largely undefined role. That leaves First Ladies like Gwen Walz to define that position.
And it wasn't that many weeks ago when I was knocking on doors and making phone calls in my home state of Minnesota, doing just what you're doing. And then Tim got a different call from Vice President Harris. Yep.
She has campaigned in Wisconsin 6 times since the Democratic campaign named her husband as the VP pick. In stark contrast, Republican nominee J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, has taken a different approach. She has yet to deliver public remarks since the Republican National Convention.
Meanwhile, Senator Bernie Sanders is campaigning for Harris in Baraboo this weekend. He plans to be in the Badger State Saturday. He'll also make a stop in Superior. Details on what he'll talk about and exactly where he'll be speaking have not yet been announced, though.
And First Lady Jill Biden will be in Madison on Monday. It's for a campaign stop on behalf of Vice President Harris. She's expected to speak on reproductive rights, democracy, and economic opportunity. No details yet on when or where she'll speak.
Well, the latest Quinnipiac University poll shows a different top candidate for president this month. The former president now leads over Harris 48 to 46 percentage points here in Wisconsin. In other swing states, Trump has also nabbed the lead, like in Michigan. Harris, though, leads in Pennsylvania, but support there is waning, according to this Quinnipiac poll. In the race for Senate, Senator Tammy Baldwin leads over challenger Eric Hovde 50-46. The margin of error is 3 percentage points. Now, on the Marquette Law School poll released Wednesday, October 2nd, Harris is leading 53-48% over the former president. In September, those polls were tied. And in the Senate race for the Marquette Law School poll, Baldwin leads 53-46% over challenger Eric Hovde. The margin of error for this poll is 4.4 percentage points.
Well, in other news, the Northern Lights may be visible in Beloit tonight. So the city of Beloit is extending hours at 2 parks for those who want to sky gaze. Those parks are Town View Park and Eagles Ridge Park. They will stay open until 11:59. All sky gazers should leave by midnight, and noise should be kept to a minimum.
Yeah, just need some clear skies to help out with that.
Yeah, so Savannah, what are the likelihoods of being able to see those lights?
I do think most of Wisconsin, obviously the further north you get, the more likely that is, but clear skies are in our forecast locally. Different story for Florida. We continue to track Milton coming up.
And it's almost the weekend of the 608. I'll have 3 things for you to do with your family across southern Wisconsin.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning, brought to you by Toyota.
Dear road rivals, no truck on the road drives value like the Tundra. Day after day, mile after mile, it all adds up to big savings under the hood. What's under yours? Toyota Tundra.
Right now, lease a new Tundra for $479 a month or get 3.99% APR for 72 months on a new Tundra. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
Save big money with these hot deals at Menards. All prices after 11% rebate. Pumpkins are just $2.99. 3-panel folding lights, only $1.99. Keep out the cold with expanding foam sealant, just $3.79. 12 packs of Shasta soda are only $4.29. Plus, sign up in store for a chance to win a GMC Sierra. Hurry, these hot deals won't last long. Sign up for Menards emails to get more big savings, plus the weekly flyer right to your inbox.
Save big money at Menards.
Billionaire banker Eric Hovde has a plan for Social Security.
Do you favor either raising the retirement age or cutting benefits?
I favor both.
Raising the retirement age?
You have to start changing the retirement age.
Hovde wants to raise the retirement age as high as 72. And Hovde just proposed cutting Social Security by 28%, costing the average beneficiary more than $6,000 a year. Eric Hovde, what's wrong with this guy?
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
He murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Building that middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Compare that to Trump. He fights for himself and his billionaire friends. He intends to enact a national sales tax, the Trump tax, that would raise prices on middle class families by $4,000 a year. Instead of a tax hike, we will pass a middle class tax cut that will benefit more than 100 million Americans.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
Introducing the Wendy's Krabby Patty Collab Burger. It has fresh, never frozen beef that's, wait for it, square. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
And I'm ready. For the Krabby Patty Collab meal you're craving, gotta be Wendy's.
It's our Fall into Savings sale at Tundraland. We're offering free installation on the bath or shower of your dreams. Plus, no payments, no money down, and no interest for an entire year.
Tundraland. Tundraland.com.
After my son was born, I was having a hard time leaving him, only being able to see him once before going to work and then once before bed. That's just not enough time.
At my old job, my entire check went to daycare to pay to be away from my child. We bring our kids with us in the mornings and they ride with us on our routes and then they go to school.
I'm on a route where I'm the one dropping my kids off at school. It's been phenomenal.
Being able to bring them with me has been really great for our family.
We're back here on News 3 Now this morning at 6:14, giving you a live look from Hillsborough County in Florida, where first responders are rescuing folks trapped in the flooded hurricane waters after that storm surge last night. Hurricane Milton, of course, making landfall as a Category 3 late last night. It has weakened since, but it has dumped just a tremendous amount of rain in a short amount of time, Kyrian.
Yes, and I'm really just wondering what area this is. You can kind of see the camera moving around, trying to focus in on that shot, but obviously the people who did stay and did not evacuate, this is what it has come down to. You know, they're really starting to survey that damage as the daylight comes now.
All right, let's check in with meteorologist Savannah Brito. She's been tracking the storm. Milton's now downgraded to Category 1 and losing or gaining speed at this point?
I don't think it's going to gain any more strength just because it's moving off the coast, and these waters are not quite as warm as what we had yesterday over the Gulf. That was fuel for that strengthening of Milton, so I don't anticipate that. Looked like they were performing water rescues. All that storm surge left behind Milton, making a huge impact. That's what's the most life-threatening. It still is a Category 1 storm that was expected to maintain strength of at least a Category 1 storm as it did travel across Florida. That's exactly what happened. Wind speeds up to 85 miles per hour, but the gusts are topping out still above 100 miles per hour. Locally, not a great chance of rain here, unfortunately, even though we still need the rain. Could see a little bit in the forecast over the weekend. It's still a low chance right now. Temperatures are sitting in the mid-40s here across Madison. Most of southern Wisconsin going to warm up. Lower to mid-70s today. That's still not as warm as what we're going to see tomorrow. To end the work week out, temperatures are going to jump all the way up to the 80s. Lower 80s will be right near that 80-degree mark. But two cold fronts, we have a few coming through the area. That's really going to play a role, and we see our temperatures dropping a lot. Huge impact and drop between what we see. Tomorrow will be in the 80s. Mid to upper 60s by Saturday. That's 5 degrees above average. Sunday will be down to 59, 2 degrees below average. Monday all the way down to 55. Nighttime temperatures, that's going to have a bite to the air. So if you haven't pulled out the boots or coats, you'll want to do that. We're talking about probably freezing level 32, maybe even a couple of areas that fall below that. So our first frost advisory, that's likely frost, and when we're talking about widespread frost, that's looking more and more likely Monday night into Tuesday, although some areas across Madison and Dane County could see that as early as Sunday night into early Monday morning because those temperatures are going to get cool. Northern Illinois could see some of that. Temperatures are definitely going to be cooler here. 32 heading into Tuesday morning. We only will rise to 55 Tuesday afternoon, but we'll see plenty of 60s to follow that.
All right, Savannah, thank you so much. We're in the 608 this morning. It's Thursday morning, Friday Eve, Little Friday, whatever you want to call it. And that means it's almost the weekend in the 608.
That means Josh Breider's here with 3 things to do. Hey there, Josh.
Hey, good morning, guys. I can feel it. I can smell the weekend. We're almost there. We are your home for all the happenings in the 608, of course. And it's this morning, I'm looking into 3 things for your family to do this weekend across the 608. First up, if you're looking for some home inspiration right now, this might be right up your alley. The 5th annual Fall Parade of Homes is happening this weekend and next. Attendees will tour 13 featured parade homes built by 13 local builders. The Fall Parade has become a successful event put on by the Madison Area Builders Association. It's modeled after the Spring Parade of Homes, which celebrates its 75th anniversary this June 2025. Parade hours are Friday 3 to 7, plus Saturdays and Sundays 11 to 6. Happening later today, Light the Night brings the Madison community together to celebrate, honor, and remember those touched by cancer. At the Henry Vilas Zoo, there's an inspirational ceremony and a short walk with illuminated, meaningful lanterns held high. Participants can join the community on their walk to end blood cancer. There is no cost to attend the event. The 2024 Madison Light the Night event will begin at 5:30 with the walk beginning around 8. Finally, on Friday, you can help the Deerfield Historical Society celebrate 41 years. They are hosting a post-renovation open house and are ready to welcome the community back in. Over the past 4 decades, the Deerfield Historical Society has been curating historical artifacts for the community. Their doors will open before, during, and after the homecoming parade there from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we'll be out there with a sneak preview live Friday on News 3 Now this morning starting at 6 a.m. So be sure to tune in for that. For more happenings in the 608, just check out our features by clicking on the In the 608 tab on channel3000.com and looking at Savannah's forecast. It looks like fall is Finally kind of settling in a little bit.
Yeah, but not this weekend. It's going to be nice. I'll say we have like an 80 tomorrow. So, hey.
We'll take that in, and then after that, it looks like we're kind of on that
then
downswing.
We're dipping.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Got that cold front coming in this weekend. So yeah, Friday might be the last 80 we see this year. And then Sunday looks like, yeah, that cooler and a chance of some showers.
It's weird to think. I mean, we're already almost halfway through October, right? And we really haven't had a really cold stretch. Like by now, there's been a little bit of a tease. No, I'm not complaining at all. I'm not complaining at all. I'm hoping fall hangs on.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just not ready for these cold temps just yet. But there's still lots to do throughout our community.
A lot to do before the snow starts flying. That's for sure.
On a high here. We were doing good, then you had to mention that. Okay.
I'm just going to walk out.
Yeah, just walk away.
Thanks, Josh.
Josh, thanks.
Josh is always looking for inspirational stories to share with you folks at home. You have an idea for In the 608? Reach out, let them know about it.
Well, still ahead, which superstar is donating big to hurricane relief efforts?
We're back right after this.
Closed captioning sponsored by Community Shares of Wisconsin's Workplace Giving Campaign.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is this weekend only. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, cool tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% on all in-stock models. This weekend only in the Exhibition Hall at the Allied Energy Center in Madison.
My name is Bill. I am retired. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I live here in Wisconsin. I am not a political person, but Eric Hovde doesn't understand how important Social Security and Medicare are around here. I'm on Social Security, and Hovde said he absolutely supported cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Imagine working longer, paying into the system, and then poof, you're paying your bills with less. He knows it. Cutting Social Security and Medicare will cost us. He just doesn't care.
WinSenate is responsible for the content of this message.
Sometimes the smallest cracks can cause the biggest chills. This fall, watch out for the draft.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Rich, indulgent chocolate with a luscious caramel filling. Discover Ghirardelli caramel squares in a bag and a bar. Makes life a bite better.
The kindness, the efficiency, the respect was amazing.
From start to finish, they will take care of you.
I never hesitate with family, friends, neighbors to recommend Cardinal, and nobody has come back to me and said I was wrong.
Stanton Optical believes eye care should be affordable. Right now, for only $135, you get 2 pairs of progressives, plus all this. All that costs over $200 everywhere else. Book your eye exam today. Stanton Optical, easy's our thing.
Welcome to Too Good to Guess. Can you guess how much 2 pairs of progressives, a free eye exam, and anti-glare lens upgrade will cost at Stanton Optical? Only $135? Wow, a deal so good, every customer wins. Book your eye exam at Stanton Optical today.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
You heard him.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
What would Eric Hovde do in the Senate? Mitch McConnell and extremists would gain a majority. The power to ban abortion nationwide. No exceptions for rape or incest. Criminal penalties for doctors. More extreme anti-abortion judges on the courts.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
Eric Hovde, what's wrong with this guy?
I'm Joan Balwig, and here at the shop, we have solutions, both big and small. And that's why I fought in Madison for historically large increases for our fire, police, and EMS, and made sure that our small businesses had the permits that they needed to operate. I delivered millions for ag and rural road funding and created the one-day fishing license. I brought both sides together to make sure that our kids can both read and write. And those are both really big things. But you get the idea.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is this weekend only. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, cool tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% on all in-stock models. This weekend only in the Exhibition Hall at the Allied Energy Center in Madison.
6:24 on your Thursday. This photo from Linda. She says she saw this barn on her travels. quite the barn there.
Look at that.
I mean, yeah, a lot of outgrown things. Savannah and Chris seem to think that little TLC could fix this thing right on up.
You know, it does. It needs some love.
I mean,
needs some love.
Just a little bit of love. That'll do the trick.
But we don't even know what the inside looks like, though. So,
kind of like a human. Sometimes you just let yourself go, and then you can kind of bring it back in a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
This may be a little out of reach here. Yeah.
Nothing's out of reach.
Yes, but Linda, thank you. Continue to send in those photos. Hashtag MyNews3Morning.
Well, trending this morning, Taylor Swift opening up her purse to help victims of hurricanes Milton and Helene. Feeding America CEO announcing yesterday on social media that the singer has donated $5 million toward hurricane relief efforts. The statement says the donation will help communities rebuild while providing food and water to all those affected by the storms. News of the donation comes as Hurricane Milton made landfall on Florida's Gulf Coast last night as a Category 3 storm.
It's nice to see celebrities and well-known people doing this.
I saw there were a number of others, like I think they're going to have like a benefit country concert too. Like I love to see that they're putting that good right back into the community, because obviously the community supports these guys, we know.
Exactly, and they need it right now.
Yes.
They sure do. Well, it's National Cake Decorating Day, dessert dating back for centuries here. I love, people get really into their cakes these days, don't they? October 10th is the day to thank your favorite cake decorator. Maybe that's somebody in your family, or maybe it's you. So whether it's icing, buttercream, meringue, fondant, you name it, today's the day to get some cake.
I love cake.
I'll eat the cake. I'm not quite the decorator, but
yeah, I'm not baking,
give me a fork. And
some people take it all out. It's like incredible seeing what people can come up
well,
with.
Then you always feel so bad, like, you know, cutting the cake at that point, because you don't want to ruin it.
Exactly. You just want to just savor the moment.
Yeah. Take a picture, right? It'll last longer. Well, we'll have an update on Milton coming up.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Joan Baldwin wants to ban abortion, even in cases of rape, incest, and when the mother's life is at risk.
And would jail doctors who perform them.
Baldwin voted to ban birth control, too, and to deny rape victims emergency contraception.
Banning all abortions and birth control? No one wants to tell you what to do with your body more than Joan Baldwin.
But she can't tell you what to do with your vote.
I'm working harder than ever just to pay the bills and provide for my family. But here's what Kamala Harris thought my money should go to instead. Job training for illegal immigrants, even after they commit crimes in America. Hotel rooms for illegal immigrants while our vets sleep on the street. Sex changes for illegal immigrants out of my pocket. Seriously, have these people lost their mind? Kamala Harris can never, ever be our president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising. Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Fentanyl is one of the most lethal drugs on the market. This much can kill thousands. These deadly drugs are pouring across our border. But Biden, Harris, and Democrats have done nothing to stop it. Tammy Baldwin claims she's trying, but she's failed. She took credit for an anti-fentanyl bill she didn't write and opposed efforts to secure the border. Senator Baldwin and Democrats have done nothing, and our communities are paying the price.
I'm Eric Hovde. I approve this message.
No matter what your dream is, Spectrum Business can connect you to it. That's life unlimited.
After a serious crash with a semi-truck, everything can change instantly. Your future,
your family's future, your quality of life. That's why knowledge and results matter in big truck cases. And not all law firms have the know-how or the resources to handle these complicated cases. At Gruber Law Offices, we have the experience it takes to make sure you're protected. And there's never a fee until we win your case. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
This morning, we're covering the devastation in Florida. Hurricane Milton tearing through the Sunshine State overnight.
Plus, how utility crews from Wisconsin are assisting in impacted areas.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to News 3 Now this morning here on a busy Thursday morning. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrie Unley alongside meteorologist Savannah Brito this morning. Thanks for waking up with us on this Thursday. But yes, busy overnight. Hurricane Milton made landfall.
It did near Siesta Key yesterday. Late in the evening, wind speeds were just seeing that video. Nothing can do justice on seeing that.
Right. When the storm hit as a Category 3 storm, how strong were the winds along the coast?
The wind speeds were at least up to 150 miles per hour, but the gusts were stronger than that. And we had videos of seeing a roof completely blown off, and that's where the National Guard was. They actually had to evacuate to safer places because they weren't expecting that. And the winds were just insane. There was tornadoes that spawned as a result of that storm surge, lots of flooding, you name it.
Yes, so this storm still did a lot of damage, even though it came in as a Cat 3. But right now, we're going to take a live look this morning. Take a look here. Seems these roads seem to be clear for the most part.
They were flooded at one point. You can see the floodwaters have receded as things start to pick up here, and we're starting to get some daylight on some of the devastation in Florida this morning. There were different weather scenarios depending on where you are in Florida. Some flooding, you had the hurricane winds, also tornadoes that spun up in several parts of the state overnight, some 20 plus tornadoes doing an extensive amount of damage as well.
Yes, I have a sister down there, and she did not see many effects in where she was at West Palm Beach.
Yeah, but the Fort Myers area, Orlando, both those places just outside saw those big tornadoes. I mean, there's a multi-vortex tornado, just lots of damage across the state.
Now let's take a look at this here. The hurricane brought enough strength, as Savannah was mentioning, to rip off part of the roof of Tropicana Field. That stadium is the home of the Tampa Bay Rays. The stadium served as a shelter for thousands of National Guard members, and as mentioned, they had to come respond in the storm, but they were there sleeping on cots laid out on the field, but they had to relocate because of the sheer force of the storm, and they did so before the roof suffered damage.
All right, that storm has now moved out kind of mostly over to the Atlantic right now, and what can we expect from it going forward?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to regain its strength because those ocean waters are not quite nearly as warm as what we experienced over the Gulf, pushing 90 degrees. That was fuel for that rapid intensification we saw over the last couple of days of Milton. So now still a little bit of rainfall, some of that heavy, most of that already off the shore though, which is good news, but lots of devastation across the entire state of Florida nearly yesterday. 41 that we are experiencing calm winds, also clear skies, which actually forecasting clear skies again tonight could be visible to our eye, the northern lights tonight. Temperatures are not going to be quite as chilly as what we are waking up with this morning and the last couple of nights, but that's not going to be the case early next week. We're forecasting some widespread frost that's likely. 58 at 10 a.m., 66 by the noon or lunchtime hour. We're not forecasting a great chance of rain going forward. We'll see temperatures fall into the weekend, second half of the weekend, much cooler. And then early next week, we'll talk about how low our nighttime temperatures are going to get.
All right, Savannah, thank you. I want to get to some developing news from overnight. Early this morning, fire crews working to put out a fire in Cottage Grove. This is on Koshkonong Road, just south of exit 147 near the interstate. About a dozen departments were at the scene early this morning putting out a hay bale fire. The fire chief says nobody's hurt. He also says the fire didn't spread to any structures, and it doesn't appear to be suspicious. Koshkonong Road, though, in this area is closed, and it might be for a little while this morning. So if you're headed through that area, again, this is on Koshkonong Road near exit 147 off the interstate. Be advised, it might take you a little bit longer. Back to our storm coverage. A storm of this magnitude requires the help of volunteers from across the country, and utility crews play a major role in all this.
Municipal Electric Utilities of Wisconsin is stepping in to do their part. 47 employees are bringing a fleet of bucket trucks and other equipment. The goal is to help restore power wherever they can. Right now, over 3 million people in Florida are without power, and many more are in a similar spot after Hurricane Helene.
We're going to do homes, make sure that key customers like hospitals and treatment plants are up and running over there too, and then making sure that we get all their main feeders going and to help with the secondary.
And the fleet from Wisconsin plans to get to Central Florida by midday tomorrow. Now, this isn't the first time Wisconsin Utilities has been down to Florida to help with hurricane damage. They drove down in 2022 to help with Hurricane Ian.
With hurricanes like Helene and Milton, IV fluid bags are in short supply. Now, Baxter International says it'll resume partial shipments of its bags. Medical centers around the country have been conserving their supply of IV bags. IV fluids essential to hydrate patients and deliver medication, of course. With the shortage, healthcare providers have had to prioritize bags for patients who need them most.
We've been able to substitute oral replenishment, oral electrolyte solutions, and hence have been able to lower our utilization by about 50% over the last several days. I would add as well that the patients who are getting oral fluid replenishment are doing extremely well.
Despite the help, though, some hospitals will not reach pre-hurricane levels by the end of the year.
The White House is also bracing for Hurricane Milton. It's also contending with a surge of misinformation following Hurricane Helene. Some of it has come from former President Donald Trump. Last week, the former president claimed Vice President Kamala Harris spent FEMA's money on housing for undocumented immigrants. No money has gone to that purpose. President Joe Biden addressed these claims.
It's got to stop. Moments like this, there are no red or blue states. There's one United States of America where neighbors are helping neighbors. Volunteers and first responders are risking everything, including their own lives, to help their fellow Americans.
He called the former president's rhetoric dangerous and unhelpful.
For updates on the storm, you can get those to the Channel 3000 mobile app. Download it wherever you get yours. To our 3 for the People coverage now. Candidates for various offices from both sides of the aisle are focusing on our area, and Congressman Brian Stile is one of them. He campaigned in Beloit yesterday. The Janesville Republican is running for his 4th term. His district covers Janesville and parts of Racine and Kenosha. It's one of the more competitive districts in Wisconsin. We got up with the congressman and asked him how he views this election.
Yeah, I think it's a contrast in policies. I mean, I'm working to make sure that we're lowering costs and addressing the reckless spending that we saw out of the Biden-Harris administration. I'm working to secure the border. And so there's a contrast in policies, but having that conversation about what we need to do to get our country back on track is exactly what we should be doing as we head into the home stretch of this election.
Democrat Peter Barca is challenging Stile for his seat. We've reached out to his campaign and do expect to join him on the campaign trail soon. The Wisconsin Supreme Court, meantime, will rule soon on Governor Evers' partial bill that he vetoed last year. It relates to when he crossed out some digits from a bill that increased public education funding. In doing so, he extended the funding for another 400 years.
That's right, and here to help explain what it all means is Professor Mike Wagner from UW-Madison. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, this is a debate that Wisconsinites are rather familiar with. Governors Doyle, Thompson, they've all had some very creative methods in using this partial veto power as well. So what will you be watching for in the Supreme Court case?
Well, it'll be really interesting to see whether the Supreme Court extends the Vanna White rule, which is you can't cross out letters to make new words, to see if it also applies to numbers. And so one of the justices had said, you know, the current rule applies to letters. Letters and numbers are different, and so maybe it doesn't apply. But then other justices said, gee, is the sky the limit here? If we can cross out numbers to make totally new numbers and extend the life of a bill for 400 years, is there any check on the governor's power? And so we'll get a resolution to that issue at some point.
And is there any idea what you think the court will do in this case?
It's hard to know. They seem pretty skeptical of both sides' arguments in the case or in the hearing yesterday that they had, and so they asked really hard questions on both sides. And the question really is, I think, about whether numbers and letters are different and whether that difference is also kind of philosophically related to what a governor can do to change the meaning of a bill that the legislature passed.
Yeah, some historical context here too. The Supreme Court has weighed in on partial veto power before, when it comes to combining sentences and how much they can do. So it's not unprecedented for the Supreme Court to step in here and make a ruling on exactly what the governor's powers are in these veto powers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so the question now is, are they going to go a little bit further? Or are they going to say the governor has this power, and as some of the justices said, ridiculous, absurd that it might be, that power is the governor's, or is it that there are limits that the court will define more carefully?
Yeah, it's always interesting that who raises these concerns during the political season and who's in power in the governor's office and in the legislature. So when should we expect something to come out of the Supreme Court on this?
Hard to say. They can make that decision whenever they like, but I would expect in the next few months, but they'll do it when they do it.
All right.
All right. Well, Mike Wagner, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Sure.
All right, let's check in here with Savannah Brito at 6:39. Get an update on your first warn forecast. Hey, Savannah.
Hey guys, we're talking about widespread frost. That's looking more and more likely. We'll talk about what day, what night, and how low temperatures will go.
And it's almost the weekend in the 608. I'll have 3 things for you to do with the family across southern Wisconsin.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is this weekend only. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, cold tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% on all in-stock models. This weekend only in the Exhibition Hall at the Allied Energy Center in Madison.
Champion's Big Window Sale is back.
Do you have ugly, hard-to-open, drafty windows? Now is the best time to buy new Champion windows, because when you buy 2, you get 2 free. Buy 2 Champion windows, get 2 free? I guess that means if you buy 4, you get 4 free. Buy 6, get 6 free. Buy 10, get 10 free.
Hurry, Champion's Buy 2, Get 2 free sale is for a limited time.
Great job, everybody. Thanks.
Call 888-4CHAMPION or schedule your free in-home estimate online today.
Peter Barca dishonored our service and America's commitment to veterans.
And Congress, Barca voted to cut our benefits, impacting our lives, our families. It's just wrong.
It's just wrong.
Veterans can't trust career politicians like Peter Barca, and neither can you.
Brian Stile will always work to protect veterans like me.
Brian is not a career politician, he's a fighter, and he's always working for us.
I'm Brian Stile, and I approve this message.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
You heard him.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
What would Eric Hovde do in the Senate? Mitch McConnell and extremists would gain a majority. The power to ban abortion nationwide. No exceptions for rape or incest. Criminal penalties for doctors. More extreme anti-abortion judges on the courts.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
Eric Hovde, what's wrong with this guy?
Imagine trying to take on one of the big car companies. It's not easy. Yet this year, one local law firm finalized the largest compensatory verdict in state history against an automaker, over $38 million. And it was no fluke. That same firm has been holding big car companies accountable for faulty designs that cause injury for over 50 years. Because Wisconsinites know who to call when it's a must-win scenario. They call Habish, Habish & Rotier. National reputation, hometown service.
Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up.
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up.
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Prices are up, wages are down, inflation is crushing Wisconsin families. Yet Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Even more radical, Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. Tax hikes and higher prices for families and those living on fixed incomes. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme. Reject Sarah Kieski and her radical agenda.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is this weekend only. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, cold tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% on all in-stock models. This weekend only in the Exhibition Hall at the Allied Energy Center in Madison.
watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
6:43 on your Thursday morning. Madison police are reporting over 100 citations for underage drinking at a Regent Street bar. This came after an inspection last Friday night. Police say they confiscated dozens of fake IDs and cited about 131 people. That's about 82% of the bar's capacity. Most citations carry up to a $1,000 fine. Resisting and obstructing each carry a $430 fine. Madison police say if you cooperate during questioning, you likely will just receive one citation, but those who attempt to leave or give false information will only face more charges.
6:44, Savannah Burrito with the latest track on Hurricane Milton. Savannah?
It's still a Category 1 storm, but nearly completely off of Florida now into the Atlantic Ocean. Those waters are not quite as warm as what we saw over the last couple of days with that strengthening over the Gulf. Much warmer temperatures, at least water temperatures across the Gulf. So that's good news, but there was lots of devastation. Several tornadoes reported yesterday morning at the earliest all day long from Milton. Winds are still sustained up to 85 miles per hour. The gusts, those are topping more than 100 miles per hour. That will continue to weaken off the coast. It does become a low pressure system into early tomorrow morning. For us, it's going to get quite cool out there, and not the next couple of days. It'll still be summer-like to end of the work week, but then much cooler air moves in, especially by Sunday into early next week. We're looking at the lower to mid 70s today all across southern Wisconsin. Not a bad start, near seasonal where we should be this time of year in the mid 40s. A couple of areas are closer to that 40-degree mark early this morning. This cold front, the second one over the weekend, is really going to pack the punch, though. We're going to be 5 degrees above average, still not bad. Fall-like or more fall-like, closer to normal on Saturday with highs around 67. But by Sunday, we drop to 59. That's the daytime high, 2 degrees below average. Not as cool as Monday. We'll be close to 6 degrees below average, only forecasting a high of 55 degrees. Said cold front going to drop our temperatures into the morning hours, where widespread frost, our first freeze, is probably going to be more and more likely. Temperatures are going to get very close to freezing level, which is 32 degrees. That's possible across southern Wisconsin as early as Sunday night into Monday because temperatures will be very close to that. But I think that's looking more and more likely for Tuesday morning. So Monday night into Tuesday morning will likely get down to 32. That was just one model. I don't think that's doing quite as good of a job compared to how low our temps are going to get. But it'll be pretty chilly out there. We're only going to rise to 55 that day next Tuesday afternoon. 60s are in the forecast to follow that. Next Friday looks pretty good, 68, but no 70s aside of today and that 80 tomorrow.
That looks like fall.
Yeah, it's here. It's here, guys.
All right. Thanks, Savannah. It's also Thursday, Friday Eve, Little Friday, wherever you want to call it. It's almost the weekend in the 608.
That's right. We have Josh Sprider live in the studio this morning with your weekend planner. Josh, good morning.
Good morning. I think we all have different sayings for Thursday, right? Everyone gets super excited in the newsroom. We can feel it already, guys. And of course, we are your home for all the happenings in the 608. This morning, I'm looking into 3 things for your family to do this weekend across the 608. So let's get right to it. If you're looking for some home inspiration right now, this might be right up your alley. The 5th annual Fall Parade of Homes is happening this weekend and next. Attendees will tour 13 featured parade homes built by local builders. The Fall Parade has become a successful event put on by the Madison Area Builders Association. It's modeled after the Spring Parade of Homes, which celebrates its 75th anniversary this coming June. Parade hours are Friday 3 to 7, plus Saturdays and Sundays 11 to 6. Happening later today, Light the Night brings the Madison community together to celebrate, honor, and remember those touched by cancer. At the Henry Vilas Zoo, there's an inspirational ceremony and a short walk with illuminated, meaningful lanterns held high. Participants can join the community to their walk or on their walk to end blood cancer. There's no cost to attend this event. The 2024 Madison Light the Night event will begin at 5:30, with the walk beginning around 8. On Friday, you can help the Deerfield Historical Society celebrate 41 years. They're having a post-renovation open house and are ready to welcome the community back in. Over the past 4 decades, the Deerfield Historical Society has been curating historical artifacts for the community. Their doors will be open before, during, and after the homecoming parade there, again tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll be out there with a sneak preview live Friday on News 3 Now this morning, starting at 6 a.m., so be sure to tune in. For more of the happenings in the 608, just check out our features by clicking on the In the 608 608 tab on channel3000.com. It's going to be another busy weekend. I think a lot of folks are just trying to like take in all the outdoors while we can.
Yes, definitely, because we just heard from Savannah that things are going to get a little cool.
I know.
I don't like to say it.
I was thinking that 80 though. I have a lot of lake lovers like me might be trying to take in maybe that last
hoorah.
cruise, which you never know. Sometimes we'll still get like a nice warm day later on, but you never know.
You never know what can happen. Yes. Midwest in general, lots of up and down.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you. Lots to do over the weekend, so get the fam out.
Josh is always looking for inspiration to share in the 608, so reach out to him on social media if you have an idea that you want to see on TV.
Well, coming up in our morning sprint, a new vehicle recall we'll tell you all about.
We got a birthday to celebrate today. Look who's 3. It's Cohen. Happy birthday, Cohen. Have a great one. We're back with the morning sprint right after this.
Sponsored by Three Bears Resort, Indoor Water Park and Conference Center in Warrens, Wisconsin.
Hey there, Madison. Dina here again. If you have a plumbing emergency, you need the RHD Dream Team difference. Call us in the morning and we'll see you the same day. If it leaks, bursts, or freezes, you need the RHD Dream Team. We remedy your disaster fast. That's the Dream Team difference.
Billionaire banker Eric Hovde has a plan for Social Security.
Do you favor either raising the retirement age or cutting benefits?
I favor both.
Raising the retirement age?
You have to start changing the retirement age.
Hovde wants to raise the retirement age as high as 72. And Hovde just proposed cutting Social Security by 28%, costing the average beneficiary more than $6,000 a year. Eric Hovde, what's wrong with this guy?
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
With high inflation, working families like mine are hurting, and Kamala Harris helped create this mess. Now, while Americans struggle, Kamala spent our tax dollars putting illegal immigrants up in hotel rooms, and she supported spending our tax dollars to give illegals sex changes. It's not just liberal, it's insane. Kamala Harris can never, ever be our president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
He murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Are record high energy costs putting a squeeze on your fixed or limited incomes? While you haven't asked for it, the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. No Wisconsin resident should ever have to face the challenge of living without heat or power or face homelessness. For a hand up, apply today.
Quartz takes a different approach to health insurance. We know every life well lived is a journey, and we're here to light the way at every step. That's why for 40 years, we've been alongside the doctors and hospitals who know what their communities need. Because they're a part of them. Because we're a part of them. There's a fire burning in all of us. Let's ignite it together. Quartz. Find your spark.
They say the kitchen is the heart of the home, but one look at this mess proved this love affair was over. If outdated, worn, and no wow factor describes a room in your home, you need the RHD Dream Team difference. We'll be on time, on budget, and fabulous from design to installation to put the heart back into your home.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
6:53, time for the morning sprint.
Here's a live look at Fort Myers, which Hurricane Milton is battering this morning. Over 3 million people are without power. Tornadoes have also struck areas in the hurricane's path. The storm made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane, but it's now down to a Category 1 and heading out. but the threat still remains. We'll be following it all morning long and providing updates.
Fire crews working on a fire in Cottage Grove. This is on Koshkonong Road, just south of exit 147 off of the interstate. About a dozen departments are at the scene taking care of the hay bale fire. They were at one point at least. The fire chief told us no one was hurt. They also say that the fire did not spread to any structures and doesn't appear to be suspicious. Koshkonong Road, though, may be closed there if you're driving through the area. Again, it's right near exit 147 off the interstate.
Back to Hurricane Milton, the Red Cross in Wisconsin is sending over 60 volunteers to help those impacted. They sent several after Hurricane Helene. The organization is preparing manpower and supplies. They are also sending down 3 emergency response vehicles. If you'd like to donate to support these efforts, you can find a link to do so on channel3000.com.
State Supreme Court will rule soon on Governor Tony Evers' partial veto bill from last year. It related to when he crossed out some digits from a bill that increased public education funding. In do so, he extended the funding for another 400 years. The Supreme Court heard arguments on how far the governor can take partial veto power and could issue a ruling at some point in the months ahead.
Madison police are reporting more than 100 citations for underage drinking at a Regent Street bar. This came after an inspection last Friday night. Police say they confiscated dozens of fake IDs and cited about 131 people. Madison police say if you cooperate during questioning, you likely will receive just 1 citation. However, those who attempt to leave or give false information will only face more charges.
A man found guilty in a fatal shooting outside of a Madison bar will learn his fate today. 23-year-old Caleb DiMaggio is guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. The murder happened May 5th last year. It was outside the Badger Tavern on Seminole Highway. The shooting killed 44-year-old Jason Pritchard. The sentencing hearing is scheduled for today at 1:30.
Madison police are investigating a report of a stabbing. This happened last Friday night after 10 in an apartment on East Johnson Street. A man says a woman stabbed him, but that's after the woman asked him to move out of the way in a stairwell. The woman then ran away. First responders took the man to the hospital. Police have not yet made any arrests.
Honda's recalling nearly 1.7 million vehicles because of a steering issue. This includes some Acura models as well. The car maker says manufacturing flaws could create difficulties in steering. A recall statement says abnormal noise and a sticky feeling while driving are signs of the issue. Dealerships will repair it for free.
We still do have a couple of summer-like days ahead. Mid-70s today, up to the lower 80s, right near that 80-degree mark tomorrow afternoon. But then the fall-like weather is going to settle in. We'll be down to 67 Saturday. Not bad. I'm just not looking forward to that 32 and highs only in the mid-50s.
You'd be begging for 32 in January.
Oh, yeah,
probably. Be bundled up.
Yeah.
Goodness. All right, Savannah, thank you.
We're back in 30 minutes with the news and weather update.